Are you ready? Are you ready? Man, I hope you're ready because you know what today is? Today is Wednesday. And what happens on Wednesday? Well, we do the Wednesday word on Wednesdays. Hey, everybody. Welcome. My name is David Bradley, Senior Sales and Marketing Manager with Grant Cardone. This is the Cardone Solutions Podcast, and today is Wednesday, which means, man, it is time for the Wednesday word. What do we do on the Wednesday word? Well, this is what we do on the Wednesday word. Number one, make sure it's Wednesday. Okay, it's Wednesday. Two, I'm going to crack open the dictionary and I'm going to find a word. And I'm going to, let me go back a little bit. The first lesson I learned from my Uncle G, Grant Cardone, is that selling is a conversation and power comes from the words that you use. So I crack open the dictionary and I find some words, and my intention within that is to understand the definition, look at the etymology and the history of the word, and figure out what kind of power I can get from that word, and then give it to you in a way so that you can take that word, you can get the power from it, and then plug it into your sales and your business and your life. Okay, that is what we do on the Wednesday word. So if you're a first timer, if you are just joining us on the Wednesday word, let me say, first and foremost, welcome. And then also see if you can do me a quick favor and subscribe so you don't miss another episode of the Cardone Solutions Podcast or the Wednesday word. If you've been with me for a little bit, number one, thank you so much for continuing to come back. And number two, if it's getting some value for you, if you're pulling value out of it, if you're getting power from the words, right? If it's helping, okay? Make sure that you've shared this out on your favorite social media outlet or network, or all of them. In fact, share it on the ones you like, share it on the ones that you don't like. Just get it out there for us, okay? Because if it's helping you, then I promise you it's going to help somebody else. So let's not be selfish with it. If we're having fun, we're learning, and we're growing, let's get this out there so other people can do it as well, right? Let's just share the good stuff, right? Okay. Now, are there any sponsors, right? Who sponsors this? What is today's Wednesday word brought to you by? The Wednesday word is brought to you by Grant Cardone's 10X Phone Sales and Communications Live Webinar Workshop Extravaganza. Okay, my guys Jeff Bounds and Steve Spray are going to go live for us on Saturday, August 15th, and they are going to be talking about phone sales and mastering communications. Here's what I want you to think about. If you are in sales, if you are in business, and if your business involves using the phone in any way, shape, or form, or if there are appointments that need to happen in your business, let me ask you a question. Could you handle another 300% increase in appointments? Can your business handle that? If the answer is yes, then I need you to be on this webinar. If the answer is no, then I want you to get on this webinar so you can actually learn what you need to do in order to be able to handle an additional 300% and how to handle the 300% once you get it. Okay, and we're going to go over that. We're also going to be talking about how to master objections like a pro. We're going to give you guys follow-up plans that actually work. We're going to talk about how to use virtual sales and communication meetings with your clients, with your employees. We're going to be delivering out role-play strategies and script building. Okay, this webinar, we were going to do it live and in person for $2,000. Okay, and when we're done with it, we're going to resell it for $997. But you can participate live for only $49, okay? So to get registered, I need you to reach out to me personal so I can take care of you. You're my client. You're watching or you're listening to the Cardone Solutions Podcast and the Wednesday Word, so I need to be the one that takes care of you, right? And I want to make sure that you're on it, that you're able to participate, that you get everything you can from it. So I want you to reach out to me so I can get you signed up. Send an email out to david@grantcardone.com or just give me a call, 310-777-0352, and I will email you my personal registration form for you, okay? So, today's word. What is today's word? Today's word is an action word. It is something that you do. You know, we're all about action over here at Cardone Training Technologies. Today's word, flow. Not the girl from the Progressive Insurance commercials, not the lady from the sitcom Alice back in the day, not the Kiss My Grits gal. Flow. F-L-O. W, flow. Here's the definition. The action or fact of moving along in a steady, continuous, stream. A steady, continuous stream of something. Move along or out steadily and continuously in a current or stream. Next one. Go from one place to another in a steady stream, typically in large numbers. Okay, that is the definition of the word flow, something that you do. So start thinking with right now, how do you personally flow? Now, what about the etymology? What about the history of the word? Where did it come from? Okay, now as we think about being fluid, flowing, okay, the action of flowing, okay, that started around mid-15th century. Meaning amount that flows. So it's how much is flowing. So if you think about a stream versus a river, okay, how do they flow? And at what intensity do they at? So any strong progressive movement comparable to the flow of a river, right? That's where the comparison starts. And that was happening in the 1640s, okay? Flow chart. So when you think about work, things that you're going to do, flow charts can apply to anything. Like if you've ever worked on a film set, right? They have a storyboard. That's basically a flow chart in terms of how this thing is going to roll out. Okay. You have a sales process. That would be a flow chart. And how do you flow through your sales process? Now, the way, and that started in the 20s, as we started getting a little bit more technologically savvy as a civilization. But then when you hear terms like go with the flow, right? You ever heard that? Hey, man, just go with the flow, right? And when you think about that, and this is where I'm going to transition the Wednesday word into some actionable steps that you can take with it, is in the 70s, there was when people started really learning how to ski. Because for a very, very long time, people thought you could either ski or you couldn't. Okay. And as people started filming skiing more often, they started noticing some patterns of movement within the skiers themselves. And they said, hey, we can duplicate that and we can teach it to other people. And so as they start doing that, they start telling people to get into the flow, to go with the flow, to enjoy the forces of gravity because we're going downhill, right? So you want to let your ankles and your hips and your waist, you just want it to like move subtly and soak up all the kinetic energy of you going downhill. Okay? So let's talk about going with the flow. Or directing the flow, or, I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to go with the flow? This is a dichotomy we're about to get into, okay? You can go with the flow. You can row in the flow, right, to keep, if you're on a river, right, to keep the momentum going and then to add to that, okay? But here's the question. When you think about high-level performers, what are they doing when they're like in the flow? Do you know somebody who like, well, have you ever Googled and watched videos of Grant closing a deal? Holy smoke. That man is in the flow. Another word for that could be the zone. Okay? So let's talk about being in the flow. And I think that would be a great transition here. Great way to flow into flow. So just like skiing, right? Can we sort of take a 30,000 foot bird's eye view and look at high performers that are in the flow and identify and isolate what it is that's going on for them that allows them to be that way so that we can then work on it as well, so that we can duplicate that as well, so that we can get in the flow. Okay, so let's talk about, I'm probably going to jack up the pronunciation of this man's last name. So I'm just going to apologize in advance, but I think I'll get it the first time out. So if you Google or you search in the flow, I did it for you, you don't have to do that. What needs to happen when you're in the flow? Okay, so Wikipedia shows us there's two people, Gene Nakamura and Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, if I pronounced that correctly. If I didn't and you're listening, Mihaly, I apologize. But there are 9 things required to being in the flow. So if you're taking notes, write this down. Intense and focused concentration on the present moment. Where are we at? We're here. At least I am. Are you? You here? You with me? Like, what time is it? Time is now. Where are we at? We're here. Okay. So intense and focused concentration on the present moment. There is a merging of action and awareness. Okay, so I want you to spend some time just thinking about that, like what that means. I went right to Star Wars. Like the Force, like when you feel that, there's action and awareness and you're fully present, okay? There is also a loss of reflective, this is important, a loss of reflective self-consciousness. You will know you're in the flow when you ain't thinking about what you're doing. Think about this for a second. Have you ever, like, you're driving home and you get home and you're like, how the hell did I get here? Right? Okay, so that was a total loss of reflective self-consciousness. You had no idea, like you just weren't thinking about you. You had your attention on everything but you. And that's kind of important for being in the flow. A sense of personal control or agency over the situation or activity. So this could be on YouTube. This could be, but just go watch like Michael Jordan wrapping up a game. Okay. And if you don't have time to find that, go read Tim Grover's book, Relentless. He talks about this quite extensively. This is the one of the traits of a cleaner. Not a cooler, not a closer, but a cleaner. Give me the ball. 6 seconds on the clock, tie game. Or maybe we're behind by 4 points. Give me the ball. I got it. Total control over the situation or activity. Next one. A distortion of temporal experience. One's subjective experience of time is altered. So this is a little bit beyond getting abducted by aliens and not knowing where your time went. But have you ever been doing something and you've been so focused and not thinking about you, and you're in control of the situation, and it went by like that? Okay? Now, I used to work in restaurants before I got into, and then I was in the auto industry, and then I came to work for Grant. But there would be nights where everything clicked, everything was perfect, you're totally in the zone, and you're totally flowing through customers, and no mistakes are happening, and you're kicking ass. And that shift, same 8 hours, went by like that. But when you're having an off night and nothing's working, it takes forever, right? You know the difference, okay? That's the flow that I'm talking about. Then there's the experience of the activity of intrinsically rewarding, also referred to as an Autotelic experience. Now, what in the wide world of sports is Autotelic? Okay, so now we're doing 2 words on the Wednesday word. Okay, just let's talk about it. The Autotelic experience. It's a word composed of 2 Greek roots, auto meaning self, telos meaning goal. It is where you're able to enjoy the experience of doing what you're doing. You're disconnected from the outcome. So while Michael Jordan's going in there to shut that down, win that game, the experience of playing basketball at that level in and of itself is highly pleasurable. When you go and watch Grant, a video of Grant Cardone closing a deal. Closing for him is the ultimate goal. He hasn't fully serviced the client, none of us have, until the deal is closed. But he is in love with the close. Follow? Okay, that is Autotelic. You're also getting immediate feedback when you're in the flow. You're connected to the person or the environment that you're around, and you are getting immediate feedback on everything that is going on. It is almost as if you are 1, maybe 2 steps ahead. So since we're talking about sports a lot, Gretzky talks about being where the puck is going, not where the puck is. Okay? So that's the immediate feedback. You're able to use everything that's happening to be 1 or 2 steps ahead. Feeling. You feel the potential of success, the feeling, the potential to succeed, and feeling so engrossed in the situation that everything else becomes negligible. Like if you've ever been working on a project and you were so into it, you forgot to eat. And you're like, man, how come I'm not hungry right now? I should be starving. Okay? Flow. So let's review them. It's 9 things. Intense and focused concentration. On the present moment. You are here, you're now. Okay? Merging of action and awareness. You know exactly where you're at and you know exactly what's going on and you know exactly what you're doing. There's a loss of reflective self-consciousness, meaning you're not stuck on you. You're extroverted. You're out. Okay? There is a sense of personal control over the situation. Remember what I said? Give me the ball. You have control of the situation and you're in control of the environment. Okay? Time changes. It either stops or it goes really, really fast. Or, okay, when you're in that immediate feedback place, maybe time slows down. Right? But there is a distortion of time. Okay? Autotelic experience, meaning the experience in and of itself gives you pleasure. You're getting immediate feedback. You feel the potential of success. And you're so engrossed in the experience that you forget to eat or drink or go to the bathroom or something. Okay? So those are the 9. Those 9 things need to be happening for you to be in the flow. But I think another thing that we should address right now is what do you need to get into that state? Now we know what the state looks like, but what do you need to get into it? And then also, what's preventing you from getting in the flow? What's preventing me? What's preventing anybody? Let's just talk about those 2 things and then we're out. You ready? Okay. So, according to my Hungarian friend with the last name that's really, really hard to pronounce, there are 3 conditions to achieve flow. Goals are clear. Feedback is immediate. And a balance exists between opportunity and capacity. So if you're taking notes, goals are clear. Are you clear on your goals? Feedback is immediate. Are you open to the immediate feedback of the situation that you're in? And then, is there a balance between opportunity and capacity? So the first thing that popped into my mind when I was reading this, the opportunity versus capacity thing, is Rocky, the first one. Rocky had the opportunity, was given the opportunity to fight Apollo Creed for the world title. And he trained his backside off. And when he showed up with the capacity. Apollo thought that was going to be a short fight. Nope, took all 12 rounds. He had the capacity. And then he came back in Rocky 2 and he got that belt. So bringing this into real world. When the opportunity arrives, have you trained up enough to where you actually have the capacity? Because if you put me in the ring with Apollo Creed, I have the opportunity, but I probably am not going to have the capacity. Got it? So your goals are clear. You get immediate feedback that you can work with, and there is a balance between the opportunity and the capacity. Okay? So I want you to think about the last time. You know when you're in the flow. You know when you've been there. So what I want you to do is think back about the last time you were in the flow. What did it look like? How were you meeting those 9 standards and these 3 conditions I just gave you? How did you meet the 9 and the 3? That's 12. Now, what takes you out of the flow? What takes you out of the flow is most likely what was happening or not happening, either or. Last time you were in the flow, what did it look like? Most likely it involved these. And if it didn't, these are the things that can kick you out. Okay? You had no external distractions the last time you were in the flow. So when you think about not being in the flow, what is going on outside Facebook, Twitter that could be a distraction? That's the first. The second thing that should be happening when you're in the flow, or if it is happening, is pulling you out, is you had no internal distractions. So the first one is you had no external things outside of you versus internal. That would be the little voice in your head. You know which one I'm talking about. Can you handle that? Make sure that ain't distracting you. Is it a distraction for you? Has it ever been? Okay. You got to handle that. And when you think about the times that you've been in flow, that guy was quiet. It was the good one that was rooting for you, cheering you on, pushing you. Okay. You're in the flow when you're focused on just one thing right now. So Jordan, winning the game. Scoring 5 points in 6 seconds, no pressure. Okay, you're focused on just one thing. So if you're in sales and you have the arduous task of making 300 dials in one day, is that your focus? Or you want to set 6 appointments today? Is that your focus? Or you want to do 4 demonstrations today and send out 4 proposals today? So to get in that flow, you got to be focused on just one thing. And in that case, it would be 4 demos with 4 proposals. And in order to do that, I need to set 6 appointments. And in order to do that, I need to make about $300. Follow? And you should be challenged when you're in the flow. But you are not overwhelmed. Okay, now why wasn't Jordan overwhelmed with 6 seconds on the clock and 5 points to score? Because he practiced over and over and over again so that when he got in that moment, no big deal. He had been there thousands of times before in practice. So he was challenged, but he wasn't overwhelmed. Now, if you're in sales and you're listening to this right now, what do you need to do to get to that place where you can be challenged but not overwhelmed? You better be training like all the time. And the fifth thing that has to be happening that's involved when you're in the flow, when you've been in the flow, is that you're moving towards a desired outcome or target. So I'll go back to my restaurant days just as another example. I was saving money to pay for my wife's engagement ring. She didn't know that. But I had very specific income targets every single night that I worked. And I knew how many tables I needed to wait on. And I knew where I needed my average check to be. If I was going to get 15%, I usually got 20, but I planned on 15, see? And I was moving every night towards a desired outcome or target. In my current situation, sales and marketing manager with Grant Cardone, I already gave you some of my daily tasks. 300 dials, 6 appointments, 4 demos with 4 proposals. Done consistently, should be able to get 2 deals a day. Now, what do I need to do to make sure that when I'm doing that, I'm in the flow? I'm moving towards a desired outcome or target, which in this case would be 2 deals a day, which is then tied to my larger, bigger goals and purposes and dreams. Got it? So, you picking up what I'm putting down here? Is this sounding about right? How can you, this is your action idea. Here's your real homework. Okay. I've given you a lot. I know this is big. This is a big one. Okay. How can you incorporate these 5 things into your daily tasks? Let's not talk about me. This podcast is about you. I do it for me, but it's for you. Got it? How can you incorporate these 5 things into your daily tasks where you don't have any external distractions? You've handled the internal distractions. Okay. You're focused on just one thing. You're challenged, but you're not overwhelmed. And you're moving towards a desired outcome or target. How can you incorporate those 5 things into your daily routine? And then what would the experience of your day be like? Would it be Autotelic? See how I flowed into that? That was cool. All right. So, hey, what'd you get from today? Was that good? I loved it. This was a great one for me. I had a lot of fun doing it, putting it together for you. If you're having fun and you're getting something out of it and it's working for you, make sure to let me know. Throw me a review. Leave me some comments, okay? Share this thing out. Make sure you've subscribed. If you need help with any of this, I'm happy to hop on a call with you. Here's how to get a hold of me. 310-777-0352. That's my office line. It's right here. It's right next to me all day long. Okay. My email address, david@grantcardone.com. Anything I can do to help and serve, please feel free to reach out. Happy to help make sure you're in flow. Okay. And speaking of flow, let me just leave you flow my way out of here with the words of Grant Cardone, which I always wrap up the Cardone Solutions podcast and the Wednesday word with, which is be great because nothing else pays.